Hello everybody, it's Wednesday early evening here, Thursday by the time you see this. Just before I get into this update, I just wanted to offer my condolences to the family of David Richardson. Some of you will know David or know of him. He was a Norfolk farmer and he died this last week, and he was also a presenter for Farming Today or Farming Diary, one of the programs on TV many years ago. He was a fantastic ambassador and advocate for the industry. He also wrote in Farmers Weekly. He had a column in Farmers Weekly for many years. Hugely respected figure, and whenever you saw him, he would never not have time to have a chat with you. Always gave some great advice and will be sadly missed. So if any of you are watching this, any of David's family are watching this, please accept my condolences and the industry condolences, because the industry, with all the issues we've got at the minute, will be a worse place without him. So in this update, we're looking at muck spreading. We're carrying on more of that. Actually, you can see I've got a heap of chicken muck behind me. This is going to be spread this next week. Oh, and also we've got there, where I can get it, there is a pile of straw. So we actually here, so what we're doing, we're taking straw off. Yes, it's getting revenue, but it's also going across to the west. I'll mention that a minute about straw and livestock. It's going across into the west, but in straw there is a valuable amount of phosphate and potash and nutrients, and some people don't replace that. They just take the straw off thinking, oh, it's extra cash. But you need to really replace it to put the nutrients back in the ground. And this is one reason why we don't bale straw very often. But now, so we're taking the straw off. That will be going in this next week. And then we're going to put this poultry muck and spread it on. And there's a lot of nutrients in that. During the winter, I will go through all the costs of this. The cost of baling, the cost of the straw, the nutrient removal, cost of the chicken muck coming back in. And I'll do a full breakdown of costs to show whether it's worthwhile or not by having straw off or having chicken muck on. Normally what we would do is, this is the first year with chicken muck, normally we would actually chop the straw on the combine, because it's a valuable source of organic matter and it's great soil for the soil on this particularly heavy clay soils. Normally we'll have the straw chopped and put back in, and then now we've gone on to the chicken muck, we'll have the chicken muck as well. So that's what we'll do going forward. Also in this update, I had Jack Carson come from GB News to do an update on the harvest and on the dry weather. And Jack, well, we got him round the farm in some of the machinery as well. He's got some great shots, and also then the finished article that he edited and put together, I've got in here as well, and I thought he did a great job. And some of you will recognize some of the drone shots. I gave those to him from what I did, and some of them actually in this field, because this was the last field we harvested. So he's overlaid some of my drone shots into the GB News article, and I thought it came across really well. And also got quite a lot of the solo. We've started soloing the chicken muck in now and incorporating that into the soil, doing a great job. The solo's going really well, but we have had a problem with it this week, which you'll see in this update. I think that is mainly it for the intro. So let's crack on now into this update. Thanks ever so much for watching. Oh yeah, don't forget as well, on Sunday I'm going to be going through the farm, the history of the farm in the background, how my father started it, and where we've been and where we're going to in the future of the farm. I'm going to be going through that as well on Sunday, so don't forget, don't miss that, 8 a.m. Sunday morning, and you'll see what we're doing with the farm going forward. So thanks ever so much for watching, everybody. Oh, and by the way, one last thing, Wardy's Waffle shirts, got plenty of these in different colours, blue, white, and pink, navy pink for blokes and pink for girls as well, different pinks, and hats, and we've got some cool bags as well, which I know at the minute it's not that warm, but that will be it for next year. And we've got a website coming along. So that is it for me. Thanks for watching. See you at the end. Sunday morning and the spreaders are back. Just going to finish off doing a couple of fields down here and getting them up to date and done. Good job then, all finished. All the muck down the glebe farm will be spread. When JSE came, they came with 2 spreaders. This is one of them, nearly full, and you can just see it's our Manitou that's loading them. It's one of the JSE chaps using it. They do sometimes come with their one of their loading shovels or an excavator to load it. Here's Ali coming with the second spreader down onto the concrete. It's great having a good storage area to put it on. We can keep it there and not make a mess of the fields through the winter. So it's a great way of utilising the concrete area that we use for sugar beet. And you can see now the 2 different types of fertiliser, which we'll look at in a second. But we've got the first one, I think that's Nick going down the lane, just shows the beauty of having decent tracks and decent roads all around the farm, so you can get from one field to another and all around the farm without running through another field and making a mess of a field. Now, the two different types of poultry muck here, the lighter stuff that's been loaded at the minute, that is the recent one we collected only last week, and it's lighter because it's come straight out the sheds, but it's also drier. It's a lot less moisture in it because of the heat and the time of year, and the nutrient density of this. There's a lot more nutrients in this. I have had it tested, and I will go through all those results with you. I know I keep saying that, but I'll go through them and get an application rate. But the lighter coloured stuff is is more concentrated of nutrients than the other. You can just see here it's spreading. This is spreading, a bit of a mixture here of the light and the darker stuff. But you can just see how the spreaders are spreading. It's so accurate, really good here. And great having stubbles and not work land and everything, and then we're cultivating it in with the solo straight after this to incorporate it into the soil. But just shows how accurate it is spreading it. Really good way of doing it. And these spreaders all have load cells on, and so we know exactly how many tons we're getting on each field. You can just see here well the spinning disc, spinning it out and just making a really good job of it. You've got the finer particles that are coming out the back, and then the bigger particles being spread to the side. Got Jack here from GB News up there getting some footage for the piece they're doing end of the week about food and farming and food security. Jack's just filming the cracks in the ground, and the tram line's a really good place to show that, but also there's a lot of cracks here. So Ruben's getting all the combine blown down and getting it ready for putting away for the winter. We're in the stubble field doing it while we've got the compressor. We have the compressor on hire from Sunbelt Rentals in Lincoln, and it'll be going back as soon as we finish this and going off hire. So I'm just moving the header out the way with the forklift, and Ruben's behind there. Just going to start blowing the combine down. He's got the header blown down. See there, the amount of stuff that comes out of it is just incredible. So Jack's now filming combine, starting to blow it down. Ruben's just running up with all the fan at full speed, just empty it out before he starts blowing it down. And then I have to get the compressor on here to start doing that.
After another gruelling harvest, there's no rest for farmer Andrew Ward and his team in Lincolnshire. Combines need to be cleaned and fields cultivated. However, little to no rainfall since spring has meant arable farmers across the country are struggling.
So here we've got a heap of spring malting barley. This goes to make whiskey and beer. This crop was planted in March and harvested end of July. Now, normally this building, this grain store, the heap would be about 3 feet higher than it is now, and it would be full to the door. So we've got a very, very reduced amount of grain due to the dry weather. So the lack of rain has been catastrophic, especially to spring crops.
Activists say climate change is causing more extreme weather, whether that's droughts or flooding. But Andrew disputes the claim.
I've got rainfall figures going back 27 years. And for me, anything more than 100 millimetres of rain in a month is a lot of water. 1976 was an extremely hot year. That was years ago. That was like 50 years ago. And you look at it now, where we are today, and yet people are saying that it's the climate that's causing today. We were getting those problems and those weather effects years ago. It's the variations of weather that we get all the time.
Trouble at harvest soon has a domino effect, not only with the UK's food security, but livestock too. Straw and fodder shortages are already being reported, leaving some farmers starting to use reserves, usually left for the winter months. But even where crop yields have been average, Andrew says he faces selling his wheat and barley for less than the price more than 10 years ago.
The problem we've got at the minute is grain prices are really poor. At the moment we're selling grain now, feed wheat is around about 165, 170 pounds per tonne. To put that in perspective, 2012, so that is like 13 years ago, wheat was £200 a tonne. So we were receiving £35 a tonne more 13 years ago. Yet the costs of growing that crop are not what it was in 2012. So whether it's fertiliser, whether it's agrochemical products, fuel as well, and labour, wages we're paying more for, national insurance, everything we're paying today's rate, but we're selling our crops at a lot less than it was in 2012. And that is not sustainable. It can't carry on. There are more farms for sale nationally than there has been for years. And that is the ones that people know about. There are a lot of farms that are now on the market and a lot of deals being done with people and friends and neighbours that is not publicised.
As another harvest goes by, farmers are warning that unsustainable costs mean more shed doors could soon be closed for good. Jack Carson, GB News, Lincolnshire.
Just up at the heath, moving some of this muck down to the glebe. Just wondering, this black area here, is that where it's starting to combust? There's a lot of smoke when you get into that. I just wondered if that's where it's just starting to catch fire. And it hasn't been here that long. And it's not that high either compared to where we've had it. Bit of bad luck. Tom's had an axle snap on the solo. It must be the hard conditions. So that axle there goes all the way through the middle. These are all, that's not the axle, it's in the middle of that. These are all little bits we put on. The axle's in the middle of that, you can see. It goes all the way to the end and comes out the other side there. I had one go on that side last year. So it's obviously the hard conditions, and the solo's 21 years old, as I said the other day, so it's probably fatigue and it's had its life on the axle, so I've got to get it replaced. So it's Monday evening, about, 7 o'clock. I've just got back with that trailer. I've just borrowing it from JSE at Ancaster, who do the spreading. You've seen them in my other videos. And Tom and Ruben have just been taking off the disc axle that's broken on the solo. And just waiting for AgriLink to ring me back, because we got one from them last year, and hopefully they've got another one. So I'm just waiting for Brooke to give me a ring back to see if they've got one in. If they have, we'll get it picked up in the morning and get going again, but just takes a bit of putting together. I'll just show you what it's like now it's all stripped down. So that is the axle there that's broken in half. Now this is what one part of it is all like one axle, so all that lot, it's broken a spool there, it's broken a housing there. You can see the cast, that's cast there. It's broken that. There's bearing, the bearings collapsed as well inside, you can see there. We have got some more of these, we've got some spare ones of those. Luckily, with all the years we've been using Simba kit, we've got spares of virtually everything, which is handy. So all that lot put together makes up that. All those spaces in the middle there. So all that dismantled equals that lot there. This is what it's like when it's off. That's the Autolube pipe, so we've got Autolube on it there, which means it greases. You can set the timer and everything, and it pumps grease through everything every so many minutes. So we'd rather do it little and often with the grease, rather than give it a big grease irregularly. So we just think it's better for machinery like that. So nothing else. Next thing, hope these don't break, because when I say these, I mean the bearings in here have a habit of going. I just hope that doesn't go wrong. This is one design fault with this, I think. If you look at this, the pivot point of this is at the back here. So that's your direction of travel forward. So this has been pushed into the ground. So it's been forced that way with your travel. Now, if you're trying to imagine, I'm trying to think of, right, wheelbarrow. If you're pushing a wheelbarrow that's full, it's a lot harder to push it than it is to pull it. So if that was turned round and this disc was back here and the arm was mounted there, so it was trailing, it would be a lot easier, I think, and a lot less forgiving, or more forgiving rather. I think that's why we have bearing trouble here. We always have done with this since it was new. So I think that's one design fault with this, that it's pushing into the ground rather than trailing, such as when you're pulling or pushing a wheelbarrow. So we've got an axle picked up. Tom went to Agricast at Lincoln this morning to get it. This is how you build it up. Put all the spaces between. Bearing housing. And that's the one that's broken, cracked. This is what the legs are like. Somebody's asked me about the legs and the points. This is what's in the ground. Obviously the hydraulic, they're out at the minute, but that's what they're like, running in the ground about there. So there's 6 on this machine. It's Wednesday morning and I've got a coat on. It's mizzling about with rain, or very, very, very fine, mizzly, damp stuff. Doing more harm than good, to be honest. And very autumnal this morning, quite chilly. And it's doing more harm because we've got Tom's in front of me in the field. I'll just show you in a second with the solo. And the problem we've got is the drizzle has made the stubble slippery on top, and it's so hard underneath. He can't grip very well. And this is the problem with it when it's like the conditions it is now. If it rained properly and softened the top and we kept off it a day, it'd be much better, but it's not doing. It's just being an absolute nuisance at the minute. Yeah, I've just spoken to Tom and he is struggling a lot because it's greasy. So we're just going to lift all the legs out on the solo 1 hole, which will lift the legs out probably 2 inches maybe, which might make a fair bit of difference. So I'll just nip down to him and have a look, and I'll just show you what difference it will make. But there's no point in struggling, and it needs to be all done at consistent depth and go well. And this is just the problem with the ground, this heavy land especially, being so hard underneath. So we need to do it. And you might say, I know some people say, why don't we just scratch the top and direct drill? Well, I know from in the past when we've done that, get a wet winter, and all that happens is you get a lot of flooding and a lot of water issues, and roots don't go down, and we end up with a lot poorer yield. I know that, we've tried that. So we'll stick to this. I think it works better for us on this soil type. So these are the holes that Tom's just altering. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, and even another one there to lift it out a bit more. Pulling that through the ground when it's hard underneath. Just looking here, Tom's just changed this morning because it had worn off. We've got a slightly narrower wing, you can see there, compared to there. So when we get these worn out, we'll put all those on. These are from Spaldings, they're tilt-sew legs and wearing parts from Spaldings. Yeah, I think it has made a difference. It doesn't look, the tracks don't look to be spinning as much. See generally what it's done though. It's done a good job here. There's no real big lumps. And the press is breaking them up, you can see there. No moisture whatsoever in it though, so we won't be drilling the next crop or planting the next crop for a while. No point in putting it into dry conditions like this. because we've found in the past, if you drill in dry condition like this and its seed sits in the ground for a few weeks before it rains, it loses its vigour, and then when it does start to germinate, it's really patchy. Yeah, that's doing a good job really. Somebody asked me why don't we plough? What difference would it make if we ploughed this? If we ploughed it, you would have about 3 different machines after the plough to get it looking like that. It would be so unlevel, so rough, you'd have to level it before you could do any more to it. Whereas with here, the next machine we're going to have in here is the drill. So that's 2 passes to get the crop established. Whereas if we ploughed this, we'd have about 4 or 5. The slight snag you up to be careful of is these headland tram lines, the outside tram line. If they're deep, when the solo transport wheels goes over it, if you're not careful, if they're really deep, it can break the rams. You'll see how it bounces there. Anyway, there's the legs going in. So just looking at the discs here, see what a good job they're doing. Mixing it up, there's the legs working underneath, cracking the ground and loosening it, and then the press, you can see it chopping and firming the lumps and breaking them. You look there, comes out the back of that, and the idea of this is it leaves the ground firm for these second line of discs to chop. You can see the lumps are smaller still coming out the back there. Then we have the press on the back. We've just got the tines in shallow. You just see they are just moving some of the lumps and presenting them better to the rings. And the rings there, because they're intermeshed, the lumps don't have time, they don't have chance. If you look through there, the lumps have to go through that. And that's how they get broken up. That's why the lumps here are so small. Well, it's the end of the update, but just before we go, a bit of bad news. Got more tools out with the Solo, and we've got another axle, or the same one that Tom and Ruben repaired that you saw early on in this update. It's now broken, so not quite sure what's going on here. I know it's hard, I know it's dry and it's tough conditions, but we've had these before. So Tom's just nipped off to Lincoln to Agricast to get another one and to bring back a pillar and some bearings. I'll just flick this round, the camera around just before I go, and just show you. Very similar to before though. So there we go. You can see that should all be joined together. So that's broken, that pillar's broken there. Just quickly show you. You can see that hole there, but the pillar, I can't get underneath now because the Solo's on the ground. But very similar to the pillar. That was the pillar, that was the bearing housing casting yesterday. Anyway, Tom's just gone to get it brought back. We're going to get it we'll get going again tomorrow with it, but we've just got to make sure that we load these bearings up in here and tighten this axle up, tighten the nuts on the end when we put it back on, get them all twitched up properly, make sure we don't put excessive loading on the bearings and on the castings there. That's why it's slotted, so that when you put it up and tighten this axle up, you put a bolt in there and load it up and you put it square. If that casting's slightly twisted, it will put extreme pressure in the bearing and on the shaft there, and maybe cause that. I don't know, we've got to just see, but hopefully, or it might have been, because that is an old casting we had, that's one that Tom and Ruben put on, and it might be that was the problem, and that's an old one. It might even have been cracked, I don't know. Anyway, Tom's on his way back, get it put back, and then we'll see where we are on the update on Sunday. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the weekend.